Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the privacy and the security editions. These are recorded live Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on multiple different streaming platforms. Have a look at SwitchedToLinux.com/live to get all of the current live stream links. Let's go ahead and dive right on in. First, we are going back over to Australia. It seems to be the place where all the privacy stuff is going on. Well, there's a new application called Snug. Snug is supposed to be a uniting service between renters and rental properties to help match everybody together. The problem is it's a data collection whore, and it will basically grabs a bunch of data and throws everything out there and then turns into an illegal pay-to-play model, which in Australian law, it is illegal for you to give a higher priority to somebody if they are offering to pay a higher rent above that which is advertised. But there's a little thing that if somebody comes in and says, hey, I know you're advertising it for like $500, but I want to pay $650 for it, you're allowed to accept that. You're just not allowed to engage in a competing war. Unfortunately, that's what Snug appears to do. Now, this is not an altogether unusual thing. United States actually has a few of these types of programs, only they're a little bit more nefarious. They're kind of like credit score applications for tenants. That is a huge problem. One of them, of course, is owned by Wells Fargo. With no abuse of data there. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. This is the company that was creating accounts in people's names to give bonuses to their managers. Yeah. But anyway, on to Snug. It is an intermediary between renters and real estate agents. You create your profile on Snug, and if at your own expense, you go ahead and put in your background checks and your credit scores and your pay stubs and all this kind of stuff, they'll give you higher numbers. And the closer you get to 100, the better score you are. And so basically, this is a way to have big tech sort out and make sure that all of the low economic people will completely have to start living in the streets, and then all of the people who can't. I mean, there is no reason for something like this. But of course they're all like, hey, we're just bringing people together. But what the guys at The Guardian did is they created a few different things, and then they went in there and they started saying, they found this property in Victoria, which was $490 a week for a 2-bedroom townhome, and their Snug match score was 74. But they said, well, we'll offer $500 a week instead. And all of a sudden the score goes to 77. An extra 10 week, it goes to 88. And basically, the more money they were offering to pay for this $490 a week rental, the higher their score seems to get, which raises some serious concerns. Of course, this is one centralized organization that is working on multiple different people's behalf, but is collecting massive quantities of data on you, including background checks, pay stubs, credit scores, just all sorts of other things like that. And so these types of things are happening in the United States as well. And you have to be very careful if you're going out to rent a place like, well, we use this XYZ company, so you got to go through this company. Like, tell them no and find another place. Find some grandma renting a room somewhere in the basement, whatever else. Live with a little bit less. Don't be bought in by, oh, this is such a nice place, and jump through whatever hoop they say. You can negotiate. You go and be like, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to pay you 6 months rent up front. I'm not joining your system. Sorry about that. I'm going to pay you 6 months rent up front. I'm just not joining your system. And if they're like, well, no, you have to join our system. You know what? They're morons. Just walk. There's plenty other places to live out there. If nothing else, get yourself a cargo van. I mean, I've been living rent-free in the desert here for a couple of weeks. I know it's not for everybody, but come on, man. It's fun. I just haven't seen people anything, It's been great. But that's what's going on in Australia, so that's exciting. Data encryption. I wanted to cover this as part of the privacy thing because, of course, data leaks are happening all over the place. Everyone's putting things in insecure Amazon S3 colanders. It's supposed to be S3 buckets, but they all leak like a sieve. So they're colanders. S3 colanders are from Amazon. And so what this article is saying is, hey, because of all of this, we have to start encrypting all of the data even stored inside the databases and then using it through an encrypted access. Because if somebody then gets in here and steals the data and they get nothing but a ton of encrypted data, hey, this is a good bonus. And this is a good approach. And I like this article because this is one of those pushbacks against the idea to say, hey, we need to get rid of encryption because encryption hides the bad guys and all this kind of stuff. And this is a very good point to say, no, look at this application of encryption. This protects data from a data leak caused by either a malicious code or a faulty code or a contractor who didn't secure a database properly. This is one of those good applications where if every company encrypted the data in the database and a leak comes out and they got the encrypted data, like, we care a little bit less. Now, that shouldn't take care of or overrun, I should say, good security protocols, but this is an extra really, really good step if you can do this and encrypt all of your data, because then you just have assault on your application, which will decrypt the data through your application, which could occur through a couple different mediaries. But what they looked at here is the rate of data breaching, and there were some other articles. I kicked them out for the week looking at the massive amounts of data breaches and the fact that once a data breach occurs, it starts to greatly increase a lot of the creation of litigation. I mean, look what happened with the breach, the big health insurance breach in Australia. That led to just global litigation. And so that's a type of thing that we start to see there. So security misconfigurations occur when security settings are configured inaccurately or when security controls are deployed with default usernames or passwords. So these are some of those top things that occur. But if all the data is encrypted, you have an extra big line of defense. Like, sure, you got the encrypted database. Good luck with it. Have fun. When you rent your supercomputer to get all the data out, we'll start shivering in our panties over here. Well, Google, we talked about Google's health app. Of course, Google is now the owner of Fitbit, and starting, I believe, next year, they're starting to roll out that all new accounts have to go through a Google account, not a Fitbit account. And I think, is it by the following year, I think, all Fitbit accounts will be rolled into Google accounts. And so if you are still a sheeple wearing a Fitbit, you are literally feeding Google all your health data. Good luck with that. But they have announced their brand new Health Connect app, which is now in beta. You can download this and test it. And this is amazing. It works with all these different things to centralize health data from Fitbit and Health Connect, MyFitnessPal, Aura, Peloton, all of these different things, all into Google stuff. So Google can gain access to all your health data on all of these platforms. Isn't this so awesome? I will remind you that Google, a subsidiary of Alphabet is also working on health insurance companies and things like this. Yeah, this data is not going to be used against you. So the app syncs health and fitness data across eligible platforms, allows other apps to gain access to the data with their consent. Yeah, with their consent, of course, while providing centralized privacy controls for users. Yeah, software toggles that can easily be overwhelmed. I mean, just look what happened with the whole locations privacy stuff. We talked about it in the live show yesterday. Google paying $400 million spread across 40 different states for collecting location services when you have those location service toggle buttons turned off. Very interesting. Developers have previously had to establish multiple API connections to share data between different apps, which limited developers' data sharing capabilities and made it hard for users to unlock this data for use in different apps. Because, yeah, I need to take all of my health data and spread it all across the internet and then wonder why my insurance company is like, well, you know, you say you're kind of healthy, but we know you don't exercise. You sit in front of the computer. We know you don't sleep well. We know your heart rate's not normal. So we're just not going to cover your medical bills because we think you should have done more to take care of yourself. That is going to be the end result of this, just so you know. Android users will now be able to sync and get credit for their Peloton workouts. Oh, and Aura, My Fitness, Weight Watchers, Life Somehow. Awesome. Google's just going to take care of all of this data. I mean, don't worry. They probably won't use it for advertising. Don't worry. Talking about your health insurance, so it ain't advertising, is it? Yeah. Like I said, advertising, I can't remember if I said this yesterday or was it last week. This is the Trojan horse that they're using. It's like, well, we're not using it for advertising purposes. Yeah, advertising purposes is the least of my concern. I'm running an ad blocker and I'm not all that susceptible to advertising anyway. All right. I'm more worried about the nefarious purposes. Like, is there some crazy stalker with access to this kind of stuff who's over there looking at where people live inside of their houses? Like, not only can I tell this is the address, I can tell where the guy's bedroom is based on the location ping data. And that's the more nefarious stuff. What about the health insurance gaining access to this information? Oh, but you'll save $10 on your health insurance bill if you let them connect all your apps. Don't do it. It's a trap. It's a trap. All right. So they're up to some shenanigans. Be careful with all of those things. If you have any tracker on your wrist that is sending data to any big company, be warned, you want to stop doing that effective immediately. It's not worth going, oh, look at this. I can log all my steps and you can show people all your calories and all your steps of your Thanksgiving dinner coming up. No, I'll be like, just not in, I mean, I can do that without having an app. Just so you know, I mean, my watch, I can pull it off and I can tell you how many steps I had today and all sorts of stuff like that. In fact, I think I need to do this about 2 minutes or so, but get my step goal in. So, we'll do that. Almost. We're getting there. Almost. Let's see. But that's the thing. Oh, I got 8 more steps to go. Let's do it. Almost. Come on, watch. My watch is like, what are you doing? Oh, goal. Look at that. But this goal did not ping any servers. There's no smartphone app. There's no database. There's nothing. I can look at it, and if I really want to have a log, I can do the old-fashioned thing and pull the steps data off and build a spreadsheet. Awesome. On LibreOffice, too. Anyway, moving on. Speaking of health apps, Telehealth has skyrocketed through the non-specific stuff that happened over the last couple of years. And now though, there's a lot of concern about this because these companies are doing a lot of data collection in here that's kind of getting crazy. New research found pervasive use of tracking tech on substance abuse-focused healthcare websites, potentially endangering users in a post-Roe world. Post-Roe! I'm sorry, guys. It ain't the people on the right you have to worry about being crazy. It's the people on the left, okay? All these leftist morons are running around like, oh my God, the post-Roe world, they're going to track what you're doing. No, they don't care. They're back in the woods, sipping beer, shooting at targets. Okay, you're the ones running around all concerned about what everybody's doing. Okay, just so you know. But I've always said, and I'm going to keep saying it, the best thing that comes out of this post-Roe world is that people are finally waking up about the fact that yes, you do indeed have something to hide. Yes, you do. The greatest thing about this article as I was reading through it is one of the people that they had commenting on it doing some of the research was actually Sean O'Brien, who I've actually had on the channel in the past. He is a researcher, a privacy researcher out of, I believe it was Yale, I think. But yeah, he was over here doing some of the research as well, commenting on some of the stuff. And let's see if I can find him in here. Maybe it was a different. Oh, there he goes. Okay, one person who does know about those leaky ways is Sean O'Brien, a lecturer on cybersecurity at Yale Law School, who founded the privacy labs at Yale's information security product. By the way, his group is also the ones that audits, at least did. I'm not sure if they still do, but they were the ones auditing all of the F-Droid apps. Every app on F-Droid, it did not go out until it passed an independent security audit. His team was behind that. He worked with the OPI and LAC on previous research that focused on mobile apps in addiction and telehealth spaces, and lamented that it's shocking to see mHealth providers still using so many third-party trackers despite the fact they've been under the microscope for some time now. They're just sharing it with everyone they can, he said, adding what he finds particularly problematic is the caching of data on servers, which is where someone could simply scoop up the information, i.e., if it was all encrypted, it'd be a little bit less of a concern. Now, where all this comes from is there is a Opioid Policy Institute and Legal Action Center released a finding. This is a 68-page report. You can grab it for free. They looked at a 16-month analysis of substance abuse mHealth websites, basically websites, apps, and different things. They were looking at trackers. They were looking at advertising networks. Basically, these sites, like every other site, they're putting in tracking cookies, links to Facebook, links to TikTok, Google Analytics, just all sorts of stuff going on so that they could just collect all the data and have all the marketing and have all the advertising and all of the basic same data collection. And this is raising a lot of concern for people seeking some concern, especially if this is this one's dealing with substance abuse stuff. If you're like, I don't really want to let people know I'm having a substance abuse problem, I just want to get the help that I need, good luck with that. Oh, but don't worry, all the data we have is just de-anonymized. Easy to re-anonymize. Easy to re-anonymize anonymized data, especially if they have tracking location data. Hey, you've ruled it down to one of the guys living at this house, So you can have a look at that, and basically the point is that they were looking at, there's a couple different laws involved here, but those laws don't mean anything when all of these websites are collecting all this information. Nick Mercandate, founder and CEO of Pursue Care, says this company does not collect, store, or forward protected health information for visiting users and patients don't receive their care directly on the site. He also said Pursue Care does not share information with third parties, though it does utilize Facebook Pixel and Google Analytics for internal reporting purposes. Just in case you do not know what you can do with Google Analytics, okay? One of the companies that I manage their website for, I'm basically more broad spectrum. I have access to our analytics. I have access to our Facebook, our newsletter platforms. I can identify individual people based on Google Analytics. I can identify individual people who have placed orders by tracking the anonymized data in Google Analytics, lining this up with the anonymized data inside of Google AdSense. Those 2 points alone, I can get the exact mailing address of everybody who places an order in that company. And that's one of the 2 points they have here. By the way, Google Analytics and Facebook Pixel, put the data together, I can do the exact same thing. This is not anonymized data. This is not, we're just doing it internally. No, this is not complicated to do. You log in and you look at the data. Oh, that's that person. Yep, easy to do. And so with this company, like, oh yeah, we're doing all these types of things. The only protection you have, you can block these tools. This is why my network blocks Facebook Pixel. It blocks the TikTok's Pixel, which fewer people are talking about right now as we're getting a little bit mass. It will block the Google Analytics on my network. So I'm invisible to those things on my network when I'm on my network because of that. So that is an interesting thing to keep in mind, that all these telehealth stuff, and they're trying to get everybody to do telemedicine, all these types of things. Yeah, it's just collecting a bunch of data, and then that data can be used against you. Well, if you'd like to help support this channel, we do have affiliates today. We are highlighting Linode, tlm.li/Linode. This will give you $100 in credit, good for a 60-day trial. You can spin up as many Linodes as you want. If you want to have a servers for media servers or VPNs or hosting or Minecraft servers, just all sorts of stuff that you want to do. They have a wonderful big marketplace with a lot of extra tools and options we have. You can go ahead and have a look over there. tlm.li/Linode will get you $100 in credit, good for a 60-day trial. With that, let's head on over to security news. just a couple articles over here in security. And our first article is this guy here accidentally created $70,000 with a Google Pixel lock screen bypass. So this was susceptible, at least all of the Google Pixel phones, possibly more Android phones than that. And what he found out that he could do is his phone, he'd just gotten back, his phone had died, and he plugged it in and then had to reboot it, and he forgot what his PIN number was to unlock the phone. It was a locked PIN. So he just goes through with the, it's called the puck reset code, because he kind of knew where the puck code was. So he goes in, does that, and finds out that if you had any Google phone and you put in a SIM card that you knew the puck code to, you could plop it in, enter the puck code, and it would bypass all the screens and land right on the login, or right on the home screen, completely logged into the device. And then he tested this out on a variety of different fully patched Pixel devices, and the bug was finally fixed in the November 5th rollout. So basically it had to do with this. And again, Google did confirm this affected all the different Pixel devices. I don't know if this also affects Lineage, and all of the derivations thereof. So things like Graphene OS could be affected. EOS could be affected. I don't know about if those are done. Couldn't find information, but at least on stock Pixel devices, this worked. Possibly worked on other places. He had a big, kind of a big, long blog post right up here. And so he goes through, and actually he ended up at a Google conference where he showed them exactly how to do it in the Google offices. And they're like, yeah, this is pretty high. Well, somebody else actually reported this earlier, but it was his tenacity that caused them to actually go ahead and fix the bug. And so he didn't get the full 100K, but they gave him 70K because of his persistence to get the thing fixed. So this should be fixed if your phones are patched. But it is definitely an interesting bypass to get into a device. So hopefully that is now fixed. But if you have a November update patch to a Pixel device, that's probably what it is. This open source app lets hackers steal your Apple passwords using the keychain. By the way, the very thing that they're trying to secure in and do away with passwords. Hey, all you need is your device. You can get into anything. They can steal it now. Good luck. So what they're doing is they took an open source application here, an open source file sharing application. I think they have it named here somewhere. I can't remember. But they basically took the open source application and they slightly modified the code, and then they put it up on free software download sites. So you could go in and download the software. And then if you installed the malicious version on up to the most recent Macs, it would actually breach and gain access to the keychain and be able to get in there and steal all of this information you had, which basically is this whole brand new Apple's like, we're going passwordless. Oh, it's all in the keychain. Yeah. Can be breached pretty easily using a slightly modified open source application. So the way to get this, though, is if you're downloading whatever this application is on some third-party shady place, because most people are going to be searching for this. But if you were to grab it from a legitimate source, then it wouldn't be a problem. But just so you know, all those amazing passwordless high ultra security of Apple, yeah, easy to breach. These guys just proved it. And there is a Wasp attack on Python. I didn't see any evidence of this impacting Linux. This was specifically a Windows based on the fact that it's getting in here and adding its persistence and whatnot through doing some registry keys. So it's going to modify HKey current user software, Microsoft Windows current version run. So basically across reboots, it's going to make it self-persistent. What they're doing here is they're doing a kind of like a typo squat on Python libraries, simply taking a series of Python libraries and adding an S to those Python libraries. There should be a list of them, I believe, at the bottom of the article. Somewhere around here, there's a list of Python. thought it was in there somewhere. Maybe it was a different article I saw as well. Basically, here's kind of what they did. So the Python package would be AP color, and if somebody accidentally types in AP colors instead, then they're going to load the malicious code. Colors API and color API, those were very similar. And basically, if you did a slight mistype on your Python packages, it would grab from the malicious codes instead, and then unbeknownst to you, your software would be a malicious code that is going in, infecting across reboots, and basically doing a lot of crazy stuff behind this one. What this one was doing, it is stealing Discord passwords, Discord passwords, stored credit card numbers, I think a few other things. Let's see, Steam accounts. There are a bunch of different things it was doing. And so just got to be careful if you're a developer to really double check every package you're doing, because they're trying to get in here and do some shady things with just slight typo and common typos of basic packages that you would otherwise embed in the library for your application. Well, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do have a locals page now, SwitchedToLinux.locals.com. You can jump on over there, and you can join the community over there. We actually do have a live chat going on right now, and we'll have some other content over there coming up as well. So you can jump on over there on locals, SwitchedToLinux.locals.com. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time. Thank you for watching this video from Switched2Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.